has been provided as is required by Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, with respect to the Home News Tribune to publish the same. This announcement must be entered into the minutes of the meeting. And for those attending today, please be aware that all board meetings are recorded via audio. Roll call.
Chairman Engel?
Here.
Commissioner Jallo?
Here.
Commissioner Katz?
Here.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Present.
Commissioner Benjavenga?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
I have a motion to adopt the minutes from October 9th.
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Jallo?
Yes.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Benjavenga?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Under old business, we have a challenge from Kathy Haverdansky in regards to an issue. And it was discussed at the last meeting, but nothing was finalized. And there's a gentleman here today, Mark Demo, who has traveled 3 hours from southern New Jersey to explain about these voters' ballots. So I would like to make an exception and have him speak before the challenge, before we vote on the challenge.
Anyone that, if you have a challenge, people should be able to speak on the challenge before you vote, because that's the whole point.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the challenge right now. Go ahead, Kathy. Okay.
Okay, so, all right, so all I'm gonna say is,
Can I just,
absolutely.
so will we send an alert?
Okay.
Was it my lack of acknowledging something that we should have known that we was beginning the meeting with someone specifically regarding the challenge?
Well, I mean, he could speak at the end of the meeting, but since
I
he
have no
traveled
problem
so far.
with his speaking. I'm asking, was it me or did we not, were we sent information
There
that we
was,
had?
there was no,
I asked the chair.
Don, you want to answer that?
there was no notice about the prior challenge
The
at
last
the
meeting.
time of the last meeting.
So
There
therefore
were
you
different,
don't.
there were different parts of the challenge. One part was rejected, the other part was held. So this was held, this is the next meeting, it was held for. So that's what happened.
That's why, so we were not notified. That's the answer to my question, no.
No, and we weren't notified about the
I didn't,
challenge
okay, but
before.
I'm just asking about
Yes.
this one, so. All right, thank you.
Well, it's still part of the same, it was written.
I understand that, sir. I'm just clarifying my own.
Okay.
Getting older, I want to make sure I read things when I
All
get
good,
them.
it's all good. Yes, you did not miss a separate notification.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
What happened to our podium?
What, I don't know. Okay. All right, so all I wanted to say is there was a lot of, and the staff is great, a lot of back and forth with questions and stuff like that, but I asked Mark Demo to be here today because it was his data that you know, was being reviewed on the schedules. It was him. So it's very technical like that, and I asked him if he could come up to explain to you, so when you were actually voting on it, you have all the information, so you can make a fair and rash judgment of what it is. So, Mark, if you could explain where the data came from.
Okay, sure.
You want
So,
to explain what the challenge is first.
Oh, okay. Okay, the challenge is, right at this moment, is 948 ballots where it seems, based on the data he's going to explain in detail, it seems that these people are no longer Middlesex County residents. And they moved to another state. And the schedule that I gave to Tom Lynch, had this information. It had the town they live in now, and it had the date that they moved, and it had the new state that they lived in, they live in now, and it's based on various days, NCOA and this PCOA. But I wanted him to explain it in detail because it's very technical, and I think you'll find this very interesting. Okay.
Mark?
all right, thank you for having me. So the data that I shared with Kathy that that represents all the challenges related to the people who have moved out of Middlesex County comes from a system called ELI, right? And it's built by a company called Eagle AI, right? And it's modeled after the ERIC process, right? But ERIC has 24 states voter rolls collected together, and ELI has 40 states collected together. And ELI is free to use for me and for you, right? And county, state board of elections, it doesn't matter, right? But so this ELI system, all the voter rolls that it collects, 40 of them, have come from the Secretary of States from each of the states, 40 states so far, right? And the voter rolls are sent on a regular basis to the BCC software, right? The same USPS licensee that ERIC uses. The BCC compares the voter records to the state move record, to the move records in the PCOA, which is proprietary change of address database, and then to the NCOA, National Change of Address databases. The criteria for a moved hit on a voter roll name using 60-month PCOA data is based on a match to 4 different kinds of data, which includes utility bills, phone bills, credit card bills, and magazine subscriptions, to name a few. Use of the PCOA data is also in the EAC's, that's the Election Assistance Commission's, best practice recommendation, L-12. Next, after the names are run through the PCOA process, the voter rolls are then run against the 48-month NCOA database. The criteria for a moved hit in that match is with a signed affidavit stating the voter had moved permanently to the new address. This is the same process that ERIC uses. And as I said, ERIC has 24 state and District of Columbia voter rolls. That's 82 million voters, registered voters in their system. ELI has 41 states and DC voter rolls and 220 million voters. And so the last thing I'll say is that we're here because the state hasn't done their job yet and run the voter roll information of our state through ERIC or ELI or some other system that compares our voter rolls to other voter records.
So that's the explanation.
Any questions, commissioners?
Yes. So, just to be very clear, the 948.60, whatever it is, have been run through multiple databases, similar to ERIC, which finally, after several years, the state is finally using, and it has come up that these people have moved sometime in the last 48 or 60 months to a new location.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so, just so I understand, but we're not using ERIC at this point. We're using, your challenge is based on a different proprietary
Challenge is based on ELI.
ELI. And what's the principal, who's the creator of ELI?
A gentleman by the name of, I can give you the information after the detailed information, but his name is Dr. Rick Richards. He's an entrepreneur and a computer software expert, and he has a company called Eagle AI, and he built the database and financed it and hired the people to work on it.
And what was the purpose of the database?
To do exactly this, to validate voter rolls and to ensure accurate maintenance of voter rolls across the country.
Any other questions? Mark?
I just wanted to add, I mean, this is all simple, very simple. See, I'm an accountant, remember? I just want to keep this very simple, because the way I found this interesting, and when you all know this, is that even with the matching of factors that is coming, like first name, middle name, last name, and birthday, just to match on those criteria. You know, to do that, I mean, I asked Google a million times how to do it. It's a very, you know, to have those 4 criteria, it's very rare to have those 4 criteria in the United States population.
But Kathy, I also But we're not,
No.
but the matches that you're talking
Right.
about are not related to
Not
Ellie.
related to this, right.
I create, the other matches that you threw out, right, the matches between New Jersey and New York, in the system that I created here, which gathers on a monthly basis New Jersey voter rolls and New Jersey voter history, and then on a daily basis, vote by mail history and early voting history. I'm able to determine, and I have that similar information, not everything, but I have on a monthly basis, I get New York voter rolls and I get New York voter history. So I'm able to do a one-to-one comparison. The New York data, the New Jersey, New York data that I sent you is based on exact matches between first name, middle name, last name, and date of birth. And so I don't have Social Security, I don't have driver's license, right, for obvious reasons, but those were exact matches, and they were in my view, and also I've solicited opinions of senior election people across the state. They were valid challenges as well.
Well, that's not what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
No,
that.
so I just wanted to say that, you know, that these two sources, you know, that they were questioning voters' residents, and, you know, I just thought that we need to do something to be responsible in order to investigate these
So
challenges
just
that
to
were
be
presented. I'm sorry, go ahead, Don. Don, go ahead.
Commissioner Katz?
Just to be very clear,
Yes.
these 900 plus people,
40,
48,
yeah,
whatever it is, the databases reflected that based on
Yeah.
new driver's licenses or new, or other things in the new location, shows that they live there. What were the items that they looked at?
Can I expand upon that? Because I have a question in the same
Yes.
same
Yeah,
vein.
I too.
I'd really like to understand what data points are used in order to pull this conclusion. Like,
Yeah, the information, it's based on an address hit, an address and name hit. The criteria for a moved hit on a voter roll using 60-month PCOA data is based on a match to 4 different kinds of data, which includes utility bills, phone bills, credit card bills, and magazine subscriptions, to name a few.
if
So,
I changed everything over to my law office instead of my home office, and my law office happened to be in another state, it would come up on that list that I moved.
Right.
yes, if you filled out a change of address form, you are not, but it's only checking registered voters, not businesses for moves.
No,
right?
well, let's say like I had reason to change my credit card where it's delivered and what the address is on it from my personal home to my business address. I've had reason to have my mail forwarded in recent months. I've had reason, it sounds like I would be one of the people who would be potentially disenfranchised if we relied on that.
Well, Kathy would be one of the disenfranchised people, because she's a legitimate voter who would be disenfranchised if you didn't do the due diligence to find out if that's a legitimate voter or not.
So your
That's
statement
not all
here-
due respect.
Well,
Just so we're clear, that's not what disenfranchised means, but
Well,
Commissioner
no,
Katz?
I'm just reading what, like, you can make a decision, obviously, you'll make your own decision, but it's based on validation from 4 different sources. So if you moved, then you're gonna be in that database, and if you're registered at the original, at your address, and you moved your credit card address or forwarded your information, yes, then you're gonna be picked up,
yeah,
correct?
no, I'm trying to understand. Is the proposal or the request that this is something we look into for the future, or is your request here today that we, you know, kick out 946 people who came up on this list
Well,
today?
I
mean-
was gonna say,
My view would be that I would hope, let's say going forward, my view would be that you would use this tool, which is free to you, to validate your voter roll on a regular basis, right? That's the least that should happen, right? With respect to, I'll leave that up to you folks. With respect to whether these votes should be accepted or thrown out, I'll leave that up to you.
what,
It's valid, Commissioner Snyder.
yeah, if we could just,
I just want, can I just say, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Scott,
by all means.
I just wanted to say that this information was presented to you is like, I don't know what you have, you know what, here, this looks suspicious, I mean, these things don't, can you check these out? That's how the approach was. And the more I learned myself about PCOA and stuff like that, it made sense that with these types of systems, it is a good indicator to say, this might be something that you can look and try to find out if these people really exist. Because everybody knows now, and not everybody fills out a change of address. What they don't do that. And also, a lot of people don't get paper statements in the mail. Everyone does everything online. So if you're moving from one location to another location, which you just eloquently said, but you were moving to a house, you probably won't, do that change of address. You'll do everything personally yourself. You'll call up your bank, you'll call up your credit card, you do all the steps, you shut the utilities off, you know what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. This information given to you, and it seemed to be really reliable data to take it one step further. Is it 100%? I don't think anything's 100%, but it was to do the due diligence to find out what these people, are they, and I didn't know if you had enough time to do it, but are these people actually Middlesex County people? Okay, I'm sorry, Scott.
And I think to your point, Kathy, and I think you definitely are going down the road I was going down.
Okay.
So the challenge is to a particular amount of ballots, I thought it was 981, but it could be 948, whatever that number is. And I think the information given to the board was sufficient enough to warrant having the staff go and hand pick each and every one of those ballots before the service were removed from the stacks so that they could be looked at and analyzed, given that they appeared on this list that was put together, as the commissioner pointed out, by a proprietary organization, so that we can try to make a determination and recommendation from the staff to the board as to whether or not the ballot should be accepted or not accepted based on what the board employees were able to determine with the resources that they have. Understand that the list in and of itself, in our approximation, is not enough information to disqualify a vote. But it is certainly a good lead to a list that should be checked. And so I think the board did a great job in voting to allow the challenge, which should be adjudicated in the same day, to then proceed for 2 weeks so that the board had a chance to analyze those ballots individually. And so we're supposed to hear, I think, the results of that analysis today, and then we can vote on whether or not to accept or reject it.
Excuse me, Scott, did anyone see the list? Did anyone see the schedule? And did you guys?
No.
Oh, you didn't see the schedule, okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Commissioner Katz?
These 900, what states are they from? All of the states?
All different types of stuff. I mean, I have my laptop here.
How many, for purposes of using Commissioner Jallo's example,
Yes.
if you have an office, if you're in your office in another state and you change everything here, they will show up. But if this is New Jersey and these other people are from California or Florida or any state that's not adjacent to New Jersey, then it's extremely unlikely that they would have their office and everything sent to a state that's not even close.
That's
Am I
correct,
correct?
Don. The states are all over the place. I just wanted to answer the question, and the states are all over the place. They're in California, Missouri, Texas. They are all over the place. Like I said, this was a list to use, and whatever processes you have to examine these things. I mean, it looked a little. They looked suspicious. They looked suspicious.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Thank you. They may look suspicious
Yes.
because I'm assuming none of you have 2 homes or have people in your families. And given another example, my husband has a residence and votes in New Jersey because his life is here in New Jersey. You understand? But he has something in New York.
Right.
So my question is, are you basing it only on the evidence of abodes, for want of a better word that's not coming to me?
I'm
Or for
sorry,
a house and a home?
Okay.
Or because you're seeing votes that are coming in with those names, right? You have names attached to the addresses, you understand? So now if I saw 2 votes coming in, that would be a different question. And I respect, Scott, that you want us to examine it. I just can come up with so many explanations that do not say I'm voting all over the place.
Well, I will have the ability after the election to tell you if Middlesex people who fall on both New York and New Jersey registered voter lists voted in both states, and I'd be happy to share that with you, right?
So you're basing it, but you don't have
But
that
I don't have that
information
right
to begin
now.
with.
New York doesn't
So it's
provide
just
it
because you
before
found
New
the
Jersey.
address.
That's not the challenge.
But the Middlesex information, the 900 that Kathy presented, there are actually 4,500 names on. There are actually 4,500 names on that list because I've continued to run this list daily after. There's over 45,000 across the state. So you're not alone, right? You're one
I'm
of.
assuming,
Yeah.
as I said, there are many
Yeah.
reasons and explanations
Yeah.
for those names coming out.
And there's one can create plenty of anecdotal situations where yes, I'm just relying on what the data says and and we'll present it to you to determine whether it's a valid challenge or not.
Right, I mean, I'm sure that some of them is what you say, but not all, some of them, I mean, this is, you know, I mean, permanent residence, not a secondary home or something like that. I mean, this is, and also, you know, like
Yes, that's
12 to 17% of Americans move annually, so that's a big number. I mean, you know.
I think the sense of it is, we
Yes.
certainly appreciate, you know, any additional information that should be considered.
Right.
You know, all I was just trying to understand the way the data was tabulated and put together. I certainly, you know, couldn't resist the opportunity to show a real life example of something that could, you know, end up on that list and not be accurate. You know, that's the way stuff like this works. But I think we're in a good place.
Yeah.
Personally speaking for myself, and I think we're in a good place where we are. And so, do we have to formally make a decision, Tom, or just how does that?
I think,
What were you gonna
correct
say?
me if I'm wrong, but Chair, I believe we were going to hear from the staff as to what the analysis was.
That's right.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I
Came in late.
I did, I'm sorry, I thought this was going to be the end. And,
Well, no,
In the middle.
Yeah. So if I can, first, I didn't get.
Mark.
Mark and Kathy. So again, lists like that are extremely useful. And again, you know, Mark and Kathy, last year we used that, you know, national change of address. And again, we went through that prior to that election. And we're actually able to remove people or make people inactive based off of that information. But we don't use that information alone. And again, as the opinion before you asked me, AG, we also then would send out a correspondence to those voters.
Absolutely.
Because again, it's just one piece of information. So again, based off of last year, we would send out letters to those voters asking if they do indeed still live in New Jersey or do they domicile in another state. And again, last year's record had some registrations. We also include that information. And we did make people inactive based off of the replies. Or again, if someone actively registered and was voting in another state, that was grounds to be able to make someone inactive in New Jersey. For the list that you provided, and again, we focus mostly on the people that you indicated also were registered in another state or had voted in another state. And so I do have that paperwork I shared with the commissioners, but through the research that staff did, all those individuals had also, in the intermeeting time, had taken action in New Jersey through motor vehicles and online registration, updating their registration to New Jersey. So again, for those people where they voted in like another state in 2024, they had in 2025 had actually, affirmed their address in New Jersey through some means, either through motor vehicles or online voter registration, or actually a couple of them actually came to the window here and updated their address. For the remainder of the balance, in terms of the data, and that's how I kind of asked you, Kathy, in terms of like what the
Yes.
lists were, because I was trying to
You missed the
discern.
beginning of it, it's really intense.
I kind of cut the tail end of it, was trying to understand the list as a whole, is whether it was, again, you had in some sections where it was national change of address, siloed, and then also you had a separate one that was, the PCOA, which is proprietary change of address information. So, and again, I didn't know if it was dual run or a separate silo of that, but what we found from that is that, and again, what we would do normally, let's take the mail-in ballots off the table. Again, if you provided us with that list, as you have in the past, we would then use that list and prepare a letter to those voters, and again, ask them, again, we have information provided that says you may not live in New Jersey, can you confirm your domicile? And we send it to the address in New Jersey and whatever address that was provided. So we would do that as during a normal course. In terms of what we're able to do, and again, it was a lengthy, but a short time amount, was able to affirm that, again, to the best of the information that we have, these people have not had returned sample ballots. They've had no break in terms of delivery of their mail-in ballots or sample ballots. They have active driver's licenses in New Jersey. Again, one of them I will kind of point out, comically, is the county sheriff that's on the ballot today is one of the people that was flagged as that estate. So it's in terms of trying to find, like as Mark was saying, in terms of other information to confirm, again, and again, it's a list, and then I'm not how would I say, rejecting it out of hand, but it's a tool to be able to use to then do actions. But in terms of using it as a reason to reject a ballot, unless we had something affirmative to go along with that, and again, that's why we kind of focused on the individuals that are registered out of state or had voted out of state. We don't have anything then to
Well, see,
bring to the commission.
yeah, and that's like, even when we talked and emailed a lot of times, I always even tell Mark, which we can get, possibly additional information, because like Mark said, he has to Florida, and then New York Roads, you wanted the registration date. Are they registered in the other state? But as you see, this takes time to put all that information together. The amount of time that
If we
try
had
to
the
do.
registration in
Right,
the other state,
right.
then we could see if an action they took in New
Exactly.
Jersey was
So,
after that
I
or
mean,
before that.
we can do that later, but I think we're really kind of on the same page, everybody. It was just sort of, right? I think we.
Yeah. Again, I'm not,
No, no.
and I'm not arguing about the
Oh,
list.
no,
The list
no.
is great. I mean, we will use it, and again, for even outside of what the board decides today, we will still use that list, including the duplicates in New York or the Florida, which you outlined, to
Florida,
again
New
send
York.
out those letters to voters, and again confirm whether or not they actually. And again, a lot of the people that we do talk to are snowbirds, people who indicated they went outside of school and came back, people whose family members were sick and they were caring from out of state and came back to New Jersey, or a temporary job. These are the things that people come to, like the anecdotal stories that we get from people in terms of reasons why they may have temporarily changed their address.
And those are situations, but then there might be other ones that we want to see if they voted in both states at the same time. So,
Can we provide that data? Would you refer to prosecution if we find double?
I mean,
just,
again, we're
you have
referring
to,
into-
you have to look at it, like voted,
Anyone who
you know
votes,
what I'm saying?
who votes
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
two states in one election
Yeah.
gets referred out for prosecution.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that we've done that before based off of records that are provided to our office, or that we found ourselves through research.
And what kinds of
And as you can see, it was bipartisan. I don't know if you knew that.
Well,
No doubt.
yeah, I mean, I would say, when we did it last year, I'd say about maybe like, and this is an approximation, probably like 15 to 20% we would get returned back to us. But again, in terms of, what we can do, if failure to reply to the letter then is not in and of itself a reason then to make someone inactive or in the system. So we need the affirmation from the voter saying, yes, I have. Or, like as you said, a voting record or registration in another state that then provides us the basis to be able to make that person.
Okay.
Okay.
I have two
Commissioner
comments.
Katz?
The states use the items that are in this database to determine domicile for purposes of whether they're a resident of particular states for tax purposes. They use all of the indices of where they are, all right? That's a determination. Another piece, another anecdotal one, as Commissioner Gallo had, is the situation where the kids grew up in the house. The kids moved away, they're 35 or 40, but for one reason or another, they keep registered, and they moved out of state or wherever, and they're still registered at their parents' address. So the ballots, the vote by the sample ballots don't come back. And if these things are sent to the parent's address, they come back and say, sure, we're still living here. That doesn't mean they're still living there when we have indicia showing that these particular people, not their parents, live somewhere else.
And
So sending a letter to the old address, if the parents or some other relatives live there, is not, and they come back and say something, is not really necessarily proof, independent proof that they really live there.
But not everyone is the same, and that is,
getting it
some
back.
it might work, and in that situation, it might not.
Not a bad-
But in that situation, you know, it's like, in the registration, if you can get the registration date in that state, and in New Jersey, and they both register in both states, that would look suspicious, and then you can see if they vote. But that's very technical with more,
Well, and again, I'll even
Yes.
take it a step further, is
Right.
that the board, through, and again, other counties have, maybe some resource, but other counties do have investigations units that will go out to the
do
field.
you guys have that? Like people that would go out and just be nice
And
and
again,
ask them?
if we had more staff,
I'm
put
telling
Maria
you,
in
I think,
cards.
I think I know some people that might want to do that.
But again, sometimes it might be a seasonal position or a
I
part-time
think
position.
some people might even volunteer. I'll make it
So
my
I'm
question.
sorry, just for the sake of moving
I don't want
along,
you
because
jokes.
we do have
Yes.
quite a lot of business to take care of.
Yes, sorry.
So, Chair, if you're okay, can we have a motion to accept or reject the ballots, the challenge?
What,
We're hearing the challenge, right? That's what we're doing?
Yeah, yes,
So can we have,
can
so
we
we, I
follow
think,
through?
I think the challenge, if folks bring the challenge been heard, we've heard from the staff. Unless the commissioners have any particular questions of the staff, can we make a motion to, I'll make a motion if you'd like to, if you're willing to entertain it.
But we have to have a motion one way or another,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, what was your
You can make
motion,
a
Scott?
motion.
I was asking if you're willing to entertain a motion on the challenge.
To accept the challenge.
I wasn't going to motion to accept it.
I know, I was gonna say.
No, it's a question whether you're gonna vote yes or no.
Yeah.
It depends which we do. Okay, I'll make the motion that we accept the challenge, so then we'll,
Okay.
so a yes means accepting the challenge, and no means not accepting the challenge.
Okay.
Is it
And
clear?
then that's it.
Do you have a second?
We have a second on that?
I'll second.
April?
Chairman Engel?
Yes, to accept the challenge.
Commissioner Jello?
No.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes to accept the challenge.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
No.
Commissioner Benjaminga?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Absolutely not.
3-3.
Okay.
Which means that it goes.
Goes to a judge.
It goes to the court.
That's what. You know how hard it is to get somebody who somebody reports as being diseased? Oh, good luck.
All right, we're going to go back to our full schedule now. Mark, thank you for your
They
presentation.
don't have to vote.
Thank you for your time.
But they don't have to stay around. Not have to vote here. They don't-
The 5 minutes.
Are you guys going to send out letters? Is that what? Is that what happened?
If they're
We're going
not-
to do business.
Not domiciled here, they're not entitled to vote.
Are you guys going to send out letters based on the challenge, or that's not happening? You're not following up any with that 9:48?
I mean, that would be separate and apart from that. If we did letters to that night, but that would be,
No, I mean, does that agree upon that, or do you have to do a vote on that? A separate vote?
no, that's
No.
just a normal course of maintaining the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to check.
Yeah.
Most of the other things that we've sent to the judge, because we couldn't agree, were single votes, et cetera, et cetera. You say it goes to the judge. Does the judge have a hearing? Do people do the challenges, and other people have a right to explain to the judge what their thing is?
Well, let me reach out to the AG. and
Okay, and I want you to make sure, if that's to be the case, that you advise the people who brought the challenge.
Sure.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Is this today, or?
I took.
Oh, good.
Judge will be, yeah.
I just wanted to know what's happening.
It's going to be in the next week or two.
Okay. All right.
If they stay, they can stay.
Okay.
Why did they want us?
Why did you leave?
I think he's talking to
Well,
the
actually,
AGs. And if he talks to the AGs here, they're going to have to call Trent, because the AGs here don't know anything about the election.
we're deviated a little bit.
About election.
All right.
You guys ready for us?
We're gonna do
Yes.
ballots.
Take it away.
Okay. I have 84 ballot not enclosed. I have 3 bearer exceeded limit, 7 certificate missing, 6 deleted deceased, 13 exposed with no cert, 36 incomplete bearer portion, 5 incomplete missing domicile, meaning they're registered using a mailing address. 31 that moved out of county, 23 no ID provided, 1 voted on a sample ballot, and then I have 3 here that, 1, the wife voted the husband's ballot. She sent us a letter letting us know that, you know, he's unable to vote, but she signed the cert. Then we have another one where the daughter is in school. They also sent the letter as well, and.
But the voter didn't fill out.
No,
Okay.
and then we have one that Tom has, the woman passed away, but someone still voted the ballot, but he sent it to the prosecutor's office.
Passed away before the election.
Oh, well, before, yes.
Can I ask a question about the barracks? Well, about a number of these. So there's a number of these that are not curable, right? Number of these situations that are not curable?
It's only signatures, I think.
Right. So my question is just for the good of the order, you know, we're seeing this for the first time, no matter when these ballots came in, right? We didn't do this 2 weeks ago or last week, right? So we're seeing this first time on election day. And I guess my question is, for instance, if the bearer exceeded the limit, those are, I'm just picking one out, those are 3. The voter doesn't get notified that their vote isn't going to count. And have a chance to
No,
go.
after we send the letter, why it was rejected.
Is it, I guess, for discussion after this, at our next meeting, I'd like to talk about our process, because there is, you know, if we were to change our process, some of these people would be able to resubmit a ballot, you know, if they wanted to take the extra step to come and do that. And that would, you know, allow them to avail themselves of their right to vote, even though they clearly, you know, forgot the cert envelope or whatever the case.
Well, if they forgot the cert, we don't know who it belongs to.
Good point. But you know, I understand, exceeding bearer, there's a bunch of different ones in here that, you know,
That's what the law
that's
is.
unfortunate, but we can't accept them. And I understand we can't accept them, but if we notify them once we check the ballot in as opposed to,
Or
Yeah,
possible-
do that?
Commissioner Katz?
It's possible that Scott, for the next time,
Yeah.
you tell him, you made this mistake. If you want to vote, don't make the mistake again.
well, or you know, just if it comes in, you know, 2 weeks, if we notice 2 weeks ahead of time, they're free to fill out a provisional ballot. They can come back in and they can, you know, present their ID to the board or whatever, or clerk and give them a ballot.
There's certain other things that are, law we can't do in some cases we could.
Sure. For the voter ID, the ID required, they get a letter inside of their mail-in ballots, letting them know that they're supposed to provide identification with us. So that,
And the bearer ones, they brought them in to our office, and it was brought in, and the bearer portion was not completed.
No, I can explain one. There was 6 that came from Roosevelt Care, and the Roosevelt Care Center, and the person was the bearer of 6. So I did call the facility, I tried to get hold of that person, I talked to the supervisor. She has to stop because you're gonna disenfranchise people that keep signing the bearer section. And it says right on there, it says it on the back, no more than 3, 5 if you're immediate family living in the same household. Oh, and then we have, on our part, we have printed signatures, there's 161. Missing signatures, 224. And today we're looking at no matches, we're 64. You previously did 121.
So what are we looking at the printed signatures?
64,
Yes.
no matches, the one we say will match.
We also look at the printed
If
signatures.
you'd like to look at it, absolutely.
We typically do.
So I'm sorry, give me those numbers again, 161 printed.
Yep, no matches for today is 64, and those missing signatures, 224.
So,
I don't think it goes, there's no signatures, no signatures.
still have cameras available for the the mailboxes, right? So that if somebody is attaching 3 or 6 ballots
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
we're able to pull that out. Okay, thank you, just checking.
So I will move that we reject the ones that Sharonda listed and any others, except for the signatures that don't match. That's what you want to check, and you want to see the printed ones. So this is a motion to reject all of the others.
Okay.
Seconded,
The motion is to reject.
everything except,
Ballots that were listed, except
It's 2
for.
motions, right?
No, it's a motion to reject all of the ballots that were enumerated, except for the printed, ones with printed signatures, and the ones with signatures don't match, which we will look at individually.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
yes.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Benjavanga?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes. Good, no judge on this one.
Thank you.
Mary?
Okay, let's continue with the meeting here. Commissioner comments? None?
No, we don't adjourn because we're here, we're noticed the whole day.
But there's still public comments.
Public comments, I mean, these gentlemen, who's first on the list?
Are you awake? We should wake you up.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Just want to start by saying thank you, everyone, for your service. I know this is an exciting day, but also a lot of work goes into it. I was hoping Mr. Lynch would be here, but maybe you can help me. Were there any major issues or problems with today's election other than the 2 polling place location changes?
Or two, whereabouts were they?
No, that was.
Avenel
Oh,
and
Avenel,
North
yeah,
Brunswick.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
Right.
were relocated from Avenel to another school.
We did have a squirrel in Old Bridge that blew out a transformer, so half the school, I know it's a school, half the place was out of power, but the polling place part was not, so we continued
Oh,
on.
that's fine.
Okay, so yeah, the question was any major issues other than the location changes? I'm hearing about the squirrel for the first time. Anything else?
As far as I know, it's just one.
Anything in North Brunswick? No, or that was?
Yeah,
That was the same.
That was the
Polling
same, yeah.
place.
That was the.
Right, and so when did the 2 location changes get implemented?
When did what?
This morning,
Yeah,
the first one, I was
Oh,
finished
yeah.
about 7.
September after
The
5, I
Avenel
found
was
out.
done, I was in Avenel,
Yeah, Avenel never opened
Avenel.
because it was a bomb scare at the beginning.
why don't I?
So they moved to another location.
Commissioner, if you were, you should,
Yeah,
I just
they moved to another
thought we,
location.
right, so they never opened the middle school, they
Yeah.
instead opened at a neighboring
North
elementary
Brunswick
school.
was later, so it had already been opened, and they moved the North Brunswick one to a different location where we had other
Right.
voting machines.
Does anyone know when was the last time a polling place was changed during election day in Middlesex County? I don't know.
sorry, I just appreciate you hanging out and staying, but this isn't a question and answer period. This is an opportunity for public comment. So you can make comments. We're obviously more willing to help you, but like we can't sit here and like we're not answering questions about when stuff happened and when stuff didn't happen.
Scott's saying it's not an interview.
It's not an interview. Right?
Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean,
You can certainly.
was hoping
you can
to
certainly
get
talk-
access to Mr. Lynch to
You
ask
can
these
ask,
questions.
and he'll still be here. This meeting is technically noticed for the rest of the day, so I'm sure you can get him to talk to you, perhaps. But that's not what this is for, so if I can
Okay.
just.
Well, I'll just continue by saying my next question would have been, was there any accommodation made for transportation for those North Brunswick voters from the old site to the new site? I believe it's about a 1-mile drive. Does anybody know if there was accommodations made?
We don't really have a report on it.
Okay, well, I
Maybe for
think,
next meeting we will.
yeah, I would love to hear about it, and I think that in the future, it would certainly be wise to make those accommodations. You know, in the case of Avenel, it's right next door, but in the North Brunswick case, it's a mile away. I would like to hear if there were any technology problems with the 100 feet. It sounds like nothing major, but I also was hoping to get some information about the theft of ballots from the US mail. Surely the board's aware of that issue affecting at least 2 of our municipalities. Can you give me any information about that situation?
Loretta, do you want to go get Tom? Ask him to come into the meeting.
I could say, I have a Will Rogers quote, all I know is what I read in the newspapers, except it's modified to what I read online. And we were told.
That was my...
This inspections were all done by the postal inspectors. So,
And in my
you'll
personal
have to ask Tom as
activity
to whether
today,
further.
I ran into 2 persons whose ballots had been involved, and they both got their copies and the second ballot.
They received a replacement.
Yes, and the replacement is a much better one.
Good to hear. Yeah, I would be curious how many folks were affected, or if there's any information about what actions were taken, I would like to know. And yeah, thank you.
Staff would process them. Check them against the
Make sure it's the replacement and not the original. Got it. Okay, well, those were all my questions, so I'll yield the floor at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Lawrence from Piscataway. Just very quickly on the sample ballots, folks were late to receive their sample ballots. I talked to several folks. I think we received ours like Friday before the end of early voting. So it wasn't a big deal. It was still before the election. But I also recall in the primary in June, which the primary I think was delayed a week, and it's still, the sample ballots came very close to the election. And I know that the vote by mail is, going out weeks before.
Edison received theirs last Monday, and early voting had started.
Okay. The state law on when the sample ballots go out is not coextensive with the start of early voting. That was set many years ago. Early voting was a newer statute. So I don't know I don't have it in my mind as the exact dates, but it's not necessarily coextensive. So the early voting earlier did not change the date the vote by mail ballots went out. Now, whether the ballots went out on time or by the date that's set in the statute, I don't know, but it would go out by the county clerk, so it's a county clerk question.
And what
That's
does
as much as I can tell you.
anything to do with the government shutdown?
No, it wouldn't.
No.
No, it wouldn't.
And let me defer back to anything else with the administrator. That's all my questions. Questions for the administrator.
Charlie, why don't you ask?
Yeah, Mr. Lynch, I was hoping to hear about the theft of mail-in ballots. If you could tell me about how many were affected and what actions were taken as a result.
I believe there were, in Woodbridge, there were 18 mail-in ballots that were, taken from the voters to the Board of Elections. When we were made aware of that by the United States Postal Service through the County Clerk's Office, the County Clerk's Office immediately sent out duplicate ballots to all those affected voters with a letter stating that they should vote their duplicate mail-in ballot. As a result of an investigation and a warrant, those original 18 ballots were recovered by the United States Postal Service and given to the clerk, which the Board of Elections currently has. So again, we will, at some point, when the deadline for the mail-in ballots is passed, bring to you the Woodbridge ballots, if there are any Woodbridge ballots whereby we received the original but not the duplicate. And would ask then the commissioners to make a determination on whether or not you would want to accept the originals or you would choose to reject them. As to the touch ballots, those are ballots upon which from the post office indicated that the ballots did not reach the voters. So they identified a route or a number of streets on a route where ballots or mail in general, because again, the post office inspector services says that the mail-in ballots were not the target of any of these incidences. It was financial in terms of instruments and checks and cards. That those, again, the county clerk took direct action and issued duplicate ballots to all those voters, along with a letter, informing the voters that there was a chain of custody issue with those ballots, and that they should, fill out their duplicate ballot and send it back to the Board of Elections. So So I think there was about 53 potential voters, but again, the clerk has kind of isolated even further down to 23 voters that were, whose ballots were not delivered.
For Woodbridge, which ward? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, I don't know.
On the polling place location changes,
Yes.
can you confirm it was two separate threats?
It was,
and
yes.
Any, indication on what the source of the threats or what they were threatening?
And again, it was it's been reported. So it was two separate threats against locations. Again, they didn't come through the board. Elections went through local entities in terms of bomb threats against those locations. So again, that's been reported against a lot of locations in New Jersey. We took quick action working with the Office of Emergency Management, the County Clerk's Office, Middlesex County, and then our local municipal partners to, in Woodbridge's case, just to move the location next door to a school which joins the middle school. And we were able to get that up and running with little to no inconvenience to voters. All things considered, considering the fact that we were made aware of those facts at 5 o'clock. As far as the North Brunswick location, again, that happened while voting was occurring, but again, same thing. We were able to evacuate the location and move our operations over to an adjoining district and school. And again, we were able to issue provisional ballots to all those voters with, again, as little disruption as we could. We were able then to have the voting machines and poll books brought over to that location so that voters can vote on the machine and on a poll book, as it would in a normal location with a little disruption within, I'd say, like an hour and a half of the event occurring.
Thank you for answering my question.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll go. Mark Flaherty, Metuchen. So thanks, that was one of my big areas. So this would be a small item that happened where there were no ATV slips for Edgar Middle School for about half an hour, and how that happened and how we could not have that again. We're not aware of that one, but Tom might be.
Yeah, but again, it was brought to our attention, was addressed, the ATVs were taken back out. And again, our apologies, that's on the board, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again in the future.
And then just one more comment on the sample ballot. So it wasn't just that they were late, that many people I'm aware of in Metuchen even never received their sample ballots. So it's a risk point, it's an inconvenience, it's a concern. So it's a county clerk item, I imagine, but it should be communicated.
I finished, but I have a correction to what I said.
Okay, my last one's a different topic, so if you want to.
Okay, they apparently changed part of the mailing dates for sample ballots in the law. And for the general elections, it's on or before 12 noon on the Wednesday preceding the start of the early voting period for the general election. So that would have been October 22nd by noon. But you'll have to ask the clerk when it went out, and then of course it's when the post office delivered it.
Okay, so the last question or comment is, I asked this last year after we did the signature match adjudications, and so it's, and we discussed it a little bit, so I'll just ask it a little bit differently. So if I were to cheat on a mail-in ballot, I would end up in the batch here that everyone rejected unanimously and it doesn't cure. At what point are we going to send those to prosecution so we send a message of deterrence to people, to the public, that we should stop trying to forge signatures? And,
Well, just so we're clear, every ballot that we went over today got a cure letter.
correct.
And the second part is that just because the signature doesn't match does not necessarily mean that it is fraudulent. Please, I'm not looking for a debate. I'm just going to comment on your comment. We'll leave it at that. So that wouldn't be grounds to refer for prosecution.
This is literally what you said last year. So we're phrasing it a little bit differently. If there are cheaters, and there most definitely would be cheaters in that group, why don't we try to find some of them so we can send a message, stop cheating? Send it to prosecution and let them decide whether Commissioner Snyder is right in his interpretation or whether there's something there that they can investigate further by actually talking to the voters and seeing why did you send this back when this wasn't yours? investigation.
Well, they're getting a cure letter. Can't do anything until they have the cure
Right.
letter anyway.
If they don't cure it, then you've got
They
even more
don't
evidence,
cure it?
something to investigate. So it's a public comment. You can leave Commissioner Snyder as the official answer. That's it.
Would you like to speak?
No.
No, oh, okay. Bill?
I'm good.
Okay.
Close,
When we're not adjourning, we're
closed, I was gonna say close public comment.
The next hearing is scheduled for Monday, November the 10th at 5 p.m. Everybody.
All right.
So we'll have a motion to adjourn?
No, we don't.
we are
One later notice in case you have to come back.
But we're not,
I'm not adjourning.
we're not adjourning, I don't know what we
No, we have to leave it open in case we.
in case we have to have another, in case we have to.
Sorry about that.